Good morning,
Good morning, D Dipple. How are you, man?
buddy. I am doing well, man. How about yourself?
I am doing amazing. I had an incredible weekend this weekend. We had some servers that we're dealing with. As you know, we have a hosting side which we're going to help our clients
Right.
that go through this challenge that we're going to be doing, which we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But we're going to really dive in because this is the number one problem that everyone has when they start either a business or maybe you're working for somebody. And there's a couple things. Number one, how to be more productive, how to love what you do, and more importantly, how do you like literally destroy procrastination? I feel like I'm always working on it, but I got to tell you, D, I love the version of myself right now. Like I'm coming into my own. We're always working on ourselves and we always need to be. You're never ever going to be perfect. We all have to know that. There's no better time than now. We're going to talk about that as well. You're never ever going to be perfect. Here's some feedback.
You're good.
By the way, it's funny. One of the things that about me, I hate my voice. There's a lot of things. We all have those inner voices that we just don't like, right? So today we're going to talk about how to become more productive. What techniques has worked for me? I've learned from some of the best, one of which was Brendon Burchard, and so many others. But I'm going to talk about that. And then we're going to also, as a bonus, we're going to say, how do you like destroy procrastination?
I tell you, man. I mean, I know with me, it's easier said than done. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely a problem on my plate too that I work on. You know?
Yeah, I forget who was coined to say this, but it was so true. Matter of fact, there was a funny movie regarding this, and it says the one that is busy is the one that's on the radar, right? Or they're the ones that are noticed. However, I don't think that's true. So this one movie, and I forget what it was. This guy literally didn't know how to do his job. He didn't, and the company was so big, and it made me think of this when I met. We went on a tour of Indeed. And we're going through Indeed. And when I tell you it was like a little city, I just couldn't believe how many employees. I couldn't believe like they had all these really cool special rooms where like think tanks, if you will. And my son is actually on the production product side of things with it. I just thought it was so cool, but it made me think of this movie because I'm like, how do you know that guy over there is actually working? Like, how do you know? Like, sometimes things can be so large. Like, how does it actually get managed? And there is a way for that. Matter of fact, one of my mentors, Lance, we discussed this because he has a large company, multi-millionaire, and he was giving me some tips on some stuff because for me, hiring people was always a hard thing for me because I'm not saying I'm a perfectionist or a control freak, but I know one of the hardest things that we have to learn is sometimes to let go, right?
Right.
So, how do you become more productive? You have to let go sometimes. So, we're going to talk exactly what do I do to do that and some tips that you can do to do just that. So,
And it's funny, just getting to that point, learn how to let go is honestly a super important challenge of it. Being able to have faith in yourself to pick the right partner. You know, what I mean, like to pick the right person, and then having trust in them to actually do the work. It's a challenge.
it really is. There's so many things that make up a day. So, we're going to talk about how we structure our week, how the pros do it as well, and my mentors. Like, if you get this right, you will truly have the best days. Let's see. By the way, if you ever have a question, yeah, Tom Brendon Burchard is awesome. Feel free to put it in there. Give us some of the tips that you do if you'd like to share as well, how to become more productive. And folks, we don't mean it to be like, that you have to kill it every day. Like there's a lot of gurus out there right now. One I love, like Gary Vaynerchuk is amazing. Not always do I think, I think I want to see my family a little more, but I get it. He's very, very productive. But you can do it with a work-life balance. Trust me on that. All right. So let's go into one moment. And then we're going to talk about how do you tie this in to your own thing, right?
Right.
So I believe that there's nothing better than owning your own company. So, becoming productive, you have to remember if you're working for somebody else, you're working on their dream and you're productive is benefiting them. It's also benefiting you. And if you love what you do, that's fine. So I'm not a hater of it. I'm just saying if you apply these principles into your own life, you're going to see a huge difference in that. So one more, let's get the very first thing I do want to add though, is you got to get on a mission. Even being productive, you got to absolutely understand what is it that you need to do? What is it that you're working for? What is it, right? So if you're working with a team or you're working on a project, you got to truly 100% understand the project and what the end goal is. You would be surprised how many people don't get that right. When I ask them to flesh it out a little more, they actually don't know. So what do you think happens when you're not clear on what the mission is?
Well, I mean, when you're not clear, it's you're easily able to get sidetracked and get off the course, and not have the steps laid out in front of you to actually get to your goal.
Exactly. And that's how I schedule my week. So, and we'll get in that soon here, but you really have to understand what is it that you're working for. I've seen businesses that the employees are confused.
Right.
That's a death of a business right there. So you have to have a mission plan. You have to have everyone clearly needs to know what the intention is. And we're going to talk about that in a moment as well. But if you don't have that, you're kind of like leading a ship to nowhere. So you really got to be clear on the mission. You got to be clear on the outcome, what you're looking for. Or if you're a consultant or coach, what is it the outcome of your client that you're looking for? What do they want? You need to know that. And then you go from there.
No, it's funny because I always, every morning you have an idea of what you want to accomplish each day. Some mornings that plane gets ripped up and thrown out the window in 5 minutes, because stuff that happens that changes what you do. You know what I mean? And then other days you're able to knock it out of the park. The days that the days you rip it up in 5 minutes, because of server issues, because of stuff that pops up that you're not planning on. Hit it hard and get right back on track. Don't you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's that delegation thing. So I'm continually adding team members, and we have overseas workers. So there's another level of complexity there, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, definitely have to do that. Let's get on with number 1. You have got to eliminate time wasters. We all have them. These are people that are constantly wanting your time and stuff. Now, listen, I get it, but maybe it's because they don't understand what's going on. But I would highly recommend that you have an assistant or somebody that's going to handle, kind of like trouble tickets and stuff like that. If you constantly are interrupted in a day, you're going to get nowhere. Truly, you're not, like what you just said. You're going to get interrupted. Sometimes you can't help it.
Right.
Like the server deal.
Right.
That was we had to work on some stuff, and I'm going to grab some water. And that's clearly how you start, by making sure you eliminate time wasters to start out with. And we all have them. Sometimes they're kids, right? I train people. So how do I go about doing that for the time wasters? Listen, I'm not available between these times. Okay. Or if they know your schedule, then they need to schedule the time with you. So if somebody hey, I need you to call me back right away. How many times you get that?
Yeah, a bunch.
you know?
Right.
So what you could do is set up your phone, or if you have an assistant, my wife works for me. If you have an assistant, you could do it that way. But if you have it on your phone, you can literally have a message bounce back to them. Hey, I am unavailable during this time. Please schedule a time. You can also make your schedule to where they can schedule time with you. Now you got to be careful with that. Very careful with that. I only allow that for certain people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an example. I have, not to confuse people, but I have a thing called a appointment funnel. So this is for Sparterra, somebody that wants us as a consultant, they would fill out this appointment schedule or this form, and then they pick the times that would work for them, and then it will come back with the time that would be scheduled. And then it's followed up with making sure and confirming that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Therefore, I have a system that's working for me that's actually developing my schedule for me. Now, once again, even that is going to be eventually delegated. Until now, when we had GeekLink, we were physically running a line like for security cameras. We had to figure this out. Like, if we're going to have employees, we have to know exactly how long does it take. And we were doing large plazas, if you will.
Right.
Going through these tunnels that were like 180 degrees. Like, it was super hot in there. But we had to figure that stuff out. So there are times that you're going to want to do it yourself, but just know that eventually you got to start delegating. Eliminate time wasters. We all have them. And it could be numerous things. It could be actual people, but it could also be, things that need to be taken care of. Like if you have children at home and stuff, maybe you need a babysitter. Okay. I hate to even say that, but there's a lot of people working from home now. Some of those kids are going to be on summer vacation soon. You got to figure that out, because that's going to interfere for sure. Okay, I love this one here because this was a problem where I worked years ago with Prudential Financial. It seemed, dude, like I was always going to a meeting. Have you ever done that? Like you haven't been corporate for probably quite some time. I don't even know. But at the day, how long have you been self-employed or have your own company?
I mean, since 03.
03. Okay, nice. Mine, I went pro, gosh, I think it was 98, 97 or 98. So it's been a long journey for me. But here's the deal. Reduce meetings, because if you're a company and you're always having meetings because you just have meetings to have meetings, you're going nowhere.
Right. When do you get stuff done?
And you're not doing your staff any favors. I don't personally like them. What I would rather do, if you want to teach something or whatever, produce a video, send it to everybody, have them watch it. I believe that works very well. We have a client that's doing that now and said it was a game changer for them. So reduce meetings. I love what Oprah did here. Oprah, for every meeting, and this is now there are times I have to have meetings, right?
Yeah, no, you can't eliminate them. You know what I mean? You just got to.
Just this sums it up. What is the intention of this meeting? It's got to have a good intention to it. But Oprah always starts out, you know why? No time for small talk. There's an intention for the meeting. What is the intention for this? And that was a game changer for me, is when we started adapting that. Okay, here's another. This is going to be huge for a lot of people. If you get in the rabbit hole of email, I'm telling you, it can suck a lot of time out of your day. So I have 2 emails. I have I have 3. I have my normal email, my everything. It literally, if I wanted something, like let's say you're opting in on something, it's going to go to this catch-all. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I have an email specifically for something that I need from somebody. So for instance, if I need something from you, you're going to get an email from this one saying, hey, D, I need, right?
Right.
And then that would be checked by Lori or my assistant, right? That would be checked. I don't deal with email anymore at all. This is another game changer. Email is a rabbit hole. So you can get 3 email. You could do it all with Google. If you own your company, I would consider having your name plus the company name. Like mine is Tim Town at Spartera. And at the end of the day, though, that email is things that move the needle. And you got to understand what moves the needle. I don't care if you're working for a company and if you're in sales or whatever, everyone has something they have to do, right? That's part of their job. So if you're in sales and you want to be the top sales, then you need to get really good at this because it's certainly going to help you out. It also keeps you super organized. So delegate if you can. So delegate the email out. If you can't delegate it, once again, you have a catch-all that's all email goes there. You have an email specifically for people that you need something from. And then there's the email that you give out for people that may need something from you. Okay, and that's how it works. That email I check every evening. So right around 6 o'clock or so, I check that email to see, if there's something that I need to get done. I check that out, and then it goes onto my schedule the next day if it needs to. That's another thing. You got to really, really understand that schedule, which we're going to come here. I love this one too. This was a game changer for me. Believe it or not, the book is called The 5-Second Rule. Quite honestly, you almost don't need the book because it is what it is. Like it's the 5-second rule, and here it is. However, she's got some more tips in there. Mel Robbins is the author. The 5-second rule works this way. I actually learned this way back in the day from Jim Rohn. You know how it is. Some people they rebrand it under another name.
Right.
But for her, imagine, D, that you're going to go work out with a workout partner. Kind of gave that one up. That's another secret, is getting an accountability partner. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But let's say you're going to work out with a workout partner, or your workout partner's not going to show up. It would be easy for you to what?
Not go.
Not go, right? No. What I always did is I had a gym bag always ready, meaning as soon as I went to the gym and I worked out and I got back, I would take all of the dirty clothes out, put fresh ones back in, and I'm ready. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Always had it ready.
No, dude, I always keep my mountain bike stuff in my truck. The only thing I do is throw my bike on it. Right, and I can go. I get it.
Matter of fact, there was a great friend of mine, Jim Purpura. He always had it in his trunk, like change of clothing and all that, always there.
Right.
This way, even if he wasn't home, he decides he wants to do it. The gym bag's at home. It doesn't matter. He's got everything right there.
That's
so
right.
I never did that, but I did do the gym bag thing. What's cool about the 5-second rule is this. Here's how it works. Trust me, it works. It is what it is. I don't care if you're jumping in a swimming pool or whatever it is. It's literally is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. That's it, right? That's the whole book. Somehow she made it this thick, but that's the whole book. So what you do, it works though. Imagine being in bed, like, I just don't feel like getting out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You don't think of anything but get out.
Right.
So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm getting out of bed, right? Intention.
Right.
Once you're out, you're out. Once you get into the gym, you feel amazing once you're in there. And eventually you link a lot of pleasure to this. And eventually you don't need to do that anymore, right? It just becomes, bless you, it becomes part of your habit. Okay, once again, 5-second rule is got to do it. Another way of dealing with this, it's not necessarily 5-second. If all of you, let's say you have something really pressing on your mind, something you've been avoiding, something you need to get done, make that first thing Monday, like if it's a weekend, right. Or if it's Tuesday, first thing Wednesday, but put it on the list.
The stuff you're not looking forward to the most, get it out of the way as early as possible.
You won't even believe what that does for you. Oh,
right. Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, at some point, you got to deal with it. So let me give you an example. I have a client that they needed to let somebody go. Do you remember the time wasters thing? Not only was this person a time waster, and I don't mean to be mean here, but they were also very negative, and they would cause upset with all the people.
That's the worst. I mean, one bad apple can ruin a bunch. And I've seen it time and time again in business.
Yeah.
And that's one of my sorry, it's one of my pet peeves. Like,
Yeah.
get rid of the person.
Yes. You have to.
I mean, like you'll be surprised at how much it lifts the whole company up. Like, I know we're getting off topic, but like,
No. It makes sense.
you know what I mean? Like you'd be surprised at what it does.
Yeah.
And how much that person drags on the whole business every day. It's going to be more work for you. In the long run, you're going to be miles ahead and 100% worth it.
Yeah, with this client, not everybody is a fan of this. I remember I was the treasurer of a pretty large church, and I sat on finance, and I did this questionnaire thing, and not everybody was on board with that thing because they didn't want to rate each other and stuff. But it is really good if you do it. Okay. But so what we did is we put out a questionnaire where nobody had to put their name on it, and that questionnaire came back with direction of the company. How do you feel? And it was always like 1 through 5, 5 being the best. And then in there, it came down to this one person that was causing a lot of problems. And at that point, you have a conversation with that person then, well, that even caused even more conflict. So but it gave that person another chance at maybe changing themselves a little bit to be more of a team member.
Right.
They weren't willing to do that. So this person, I think it was like 3 weeks later, I'm like, so how did it go with Nancy? And they're like, I haven't done it yet.
Oh, geez.
At that point, you're telling your other employees
their opinion doesn't matter.
That their pain doesn't matter, right?
Right.
I said, how much is this weighing on you? Oh, Tim, it's ridiculous. Like, that's almost all I think about right now. And get this. When she comes to work, even I am on edge. I'm like, seriously.
Like right there. You just
so the good news is contacts me the next time, says we did it, the best thing. Now I feel bad for but they got to work on themselves for sure. Because if you're somebody like that, if you're a hater and you're always bad news and always talking about gloom and doom, the sky's falling and what's going, and they're the water cooler talker and they're always interrupting people, I'm sorry, they got to go.
Right.
And if that's you got to work on yourself. This is also like and
that's it. But maybe they're not the right fit for you. And maybe moving them on will get. Maybe they'll find the next job might be better suited for their personality or better suited for what they do.
Without a doubt. And you know what? Here's the exit meeting that I had. Sometimes the exit meeting needs to be, hey, I don't think this place is for you. And you lean that way. It's about them, not you type of deal. Because at the end of the day, if they're not happy and making other people happy, it's time for them to go. They need to go somewhere else. Okay, enough of that. Now, there are some becoming productive. Let's get rid of negativity, right? So maybe there's people in your life. Maybe you don't own the business. If you do, I would highly recommend you got to do stuff like this. But if you don't own the business, maybe you got to remove yourself, meaning maybe you work for a company that doesn't give you the creativity. You just don't love it anymore. You don't feel useful and you don't feel respected. Does that make sense? Like at that point, you literally got to say, okay, where do I take my gifts? Hopefully you go pro, but where do I take my gifts and apply those gifts to a place that's actually going to appreciate it?
Right.
Because if you love what you do, just that will help you becoming more productive. Okay. So right. front load your week. I always do this. My Mondays are always jam-packed. And I jam-pack it with the hard stuff first that we talked about earlier, right? So right. I front end load my week. If it's a financial goal, I try to achieve it by Wednesday. That's just how I do things. Here's why. Number one, when you feel productive, when you really know you had a great day, like some people are just busy for being busy. I recommend you need to know, am I just being busy or am I moving the needle?
Right.
Am I being productive right now? And if the answer is no, you have got to flip that on its head. You have got to put all of the activities that are going to move the needle. Right. What do I mean by that? If I'm going to use this, if you're selling cars, you need more people to come to you to show the cars, right?
Right.
And maybe most of your time right now needs to be prospecting.
Well,
If you're a business and you need more people to, let's say it's a restaurant or whatever, maybe it's in advertising and it's a message that you're putting on, a sale. If you put your intention in that, productivity is going to happen. And I would front end load my week.
right.
Okay. Here's the other one. Is you got to know thy calendar. You have got to be strict with this. We've talked about productivity, meaning, your morning, those are the most productive hours. So think of it like it starts out green. You got the lot of energy, right? I have a lot of energy right around 4 a.m. And then once 3, 4, 5 o'clock hits, once 3 or 4 o'clock, I get a little punch drunk. I'm a little like lethargic. Then I take a break. I rejuvenate again by I have something that helps with giving you a little lift. Sometimes it's a cup of coffee, something that's going to do that. The lower activity stuff, looking at email, who needs what, where are the things that I'm looking for, that starts happening then.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Now, I know some people that are doing activities. Now, listen, if you're going to go to lunch and work out, that's fine. I get that. But if you're going to work out at 9 a.m., I'm sorry. I personally don't think that is a time for that. Yes, technically, some people say, well, Tim, I actually get prospects when I go to work out. I get that. That is a byproduct.
Right.
And we should always be doing that. I don't care if you're in a grocery store.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's a time for it. So if you're not eating lunch and you want to work out during lunchtime, fine. I'm not even a fan of going to lunch anymore. And I got that from a few mentors, right? Way back in the day when we had Capital, we would leave at 11:30. Why? Because 11:30, we found that it was really hard to get a hold of people because they were getting ready for lunch.
Right.
If you did get a hold of them, their mind was on other things. And we just realized that between 11:30 and let's say 1 o'clock, not a lot going on. So what we would do is leave at 11:30 and get back faster. Why? Because we're beating the crowds.
Right.
We're beating traffic.
Yep.
And then, you have an advantage there. And eventually I moved to I don't even have lunch anymore. I don't eat breakfast or lunch. I eat it later in the day. I believe in the one meal thing, but at the end of the day, it's really serving me in many different ways. Okay. So if you have a idea of what you do, I'm going to now, so those are the main ones. And I just want to say this, to be productive, you really just need to know what is it that what is the outcome? You got to know what the end goal is. And then what are all of the activities that are going to get you there? If you're working on non-activity, meaning it's early morning and you're having some conversation with a friend that you haven't seen in a while, I'm sorry, but that is going to hurt your productivity. Put all the productivity things that's going to move the needle Monday through Wednesday for sure. Front end load your week. Be very, very careful of your time management. In the morning, remember I said in the morning, it's kind of like green, right? You got the most energy. By the way, that's when a lot of things get done. And then in the later part of the day, that's when you want to put those non-essential things, the things that don't necessarily move the needle, but you still need to do it. And then you always got to be thinking, what can I do to delegate this? All right, let's look at some bags always with me, fully stocked and loaded. Yeah, Tom, that was a huge thing for me. By the way, I go beyond that. Like, here's another quick tip being a productive. First of all, just being in that mindset. Okay. You know what I do on Sunday evening? I focus on my Monday morning.
Right.
I'm always a day ahead, a week ahead, a month ahead, a quarter of ahead. Like if I'm looking at third quarter, I'm doing that in the second quarter. Does that make sense? So yeah. I'm not a huge 10-year planner. You know why? Let me tell you. I don't believe in that for a moment. I'll tell you what. Why would I not plan 10 years out?
I mean, everything's always changing. I mean, for example, look at COVID 2 years ago. You know, I mean, believe me, like I think you should have a goal, but don't, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I want to be here in 10 years. You
Right.
know, like, like I'm cool, but like don't waste your time on a detailed plan. You
Right.
know, because it's gonna change a bunch. You know, I can see 1 3 5s.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But tens just, I mean, that's hard to forecast.
I think even 5 year, here's where I want to be. There's an app idea we have. So where's that going to be in 5? Like I'm a forecaster.
Right.
So I forecast where things are going to go and then we go. However, 10 years, I'm going to be a different version of myself. I'm a different version of myself when I was 40.
Right.
So there were some things that I was planning where I would be now. Hell no. Like I totally outgrew that. Like, no. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
that was my thinking then. So do yourself a favor, plan for the year for sure, obviously, and have a 5 year plan. Where are you going? You can have an ultimate plan. Like, for
Right.
instance, I plan on retiring. I
Right.
never do, but you get what I mean. So
Right.
you want to be able to do that. Okay, let's look. Um, George Costanza, very busy. Yeah, that's funny. That wasn't it though. There was a movie where literally going back to that. How many people do you know that are just always busy?
Oh yeah.
They're just busy, busy. Like,
Right.
oh, it's such a busy day. Really? How far did you move that needle?
Well, yeah. There's constructive busy and there's busy to be busy. You
Yeah.
know.
And do not, folks, do not listen. Nobody wants to feel like they're not productive. So some people feel like if I just busy myself, I'm going to feel productive. Know the difference. Don't lie to yourself anymore. Just know the difference of what's really being productive. And you know what? I'm just being busy to be busy, right?
Right.
Like that movie, this guy didn't even know his job, but he was always in a rush, and he legit looked like he was the game changer, right? And he really didn't do anything.
Right.
And I believe there's companies out there that this happens because they're so big, they just don't know. Matter of
Right.
fact, I know a few people. Also, yeah, Tom's got a good point. You know, office space. We live in a world right now that if you're a company and you can do a lot more remote working, I would highly recommend that you lean into that more. That's what we're doing. That whole corporate office space is so not needed for so many companies. So if you really want to move the needle and you want to increase your bottom line financially, this is for everybody right now. Number one, you got to really think and be truthful to yourself. Am I really happy where I'm at? Do they fulfill me? Am I inspired every day? Am I looking forward to Monday? We've had this conversation before with Own Your Mondays.
Right.
That there's so many people that like they hate their job so much, or they're struggling right now. Like maybe they're so busy, meaning so much is dumped onto them that it's making them hate their job now, right? Or maybe they're thinking about exiting because, you know what, I just don't have the love for it anymore. You got to be truthful with yourself. How can you be productive if you don't like what you do? You got to love what you do. Okay, what is this one? If you can read that one, another side of.
Yep. Another side to heavy load in your Monday is that you spend a good part of your Sunday dreading the heavy load you need to accomplish on Monday. So for me, I make sure I have a list of things to accomplish on Monday, but I start pouring it on more from Tuesday on.
Hey, that's good. Yeah, yeah. By the way, you don't want to load your day so high or with so much that it creates failure, right? So you got to know what you can handle, and you got to know the right times for it. But for me, way back when we were negotiating, there was a huge lawsuit against my client, and the outcome was so what I did is I visioned the outcome, right? And at the end of the day, I envisioned the way it's going to go. I literally played it in my head, kind of like what athletes do, right? What's his name? Toby Bryant was always like, he was in the gym before anybody else. So you got to know your thing. But at the end of the day, you never want it to weigh on you either, though. If it is, there's something wrong. And you got to look at that.
Right.
What is causing the anxiety of me doing this?
Right.
Maybe you're not the person to do it then. What if you delegated that? What if you delegated it? Okay. I know that a long time ago, my wife was working on something and there was some, and I said, you know what? That's kind of like what I would, let me take it over for a moment and then I'll hand it back to you. Because the guy was rude and he was mean and all of these things, right? I was able to handle that better, right? But it was weighing on her back then. Like, oh, I really don't want to deal with this guy. So then we had an open door policy like, hey, if you get anybody else like that, let me know because I don't want that. And folks, if you do have a business, please be more about the team. Like you need to, if you really serve your employees or your people, they're going to reciprocate because if they're really happy with what they're doing and they're excited to show up, that's really where the battles start. Because at the end of the day, once again, if you don't like it,
right. Well, yeah. I mean, you got to foster the work environment that you want to work in.
yes,
And if you do that, your employee retention will be great because they're going to enjoy coming to work every day.
exactly. By the way, if you have a question or you have a unique thing that you do to help you with your with being more productive, I'm going to give you now my takeaways. Like on Sunday, I rehearse my whole week. Okay, what's my intention? The Oprah effect, right? What is my intention for the week? What is my intention for the podcast? What's my intention for this? I always start out with that.
Right.
What's my goal for the week? You got to know. Do you realize how many people are they're just like throwing darts at a board? Like they don't even really know what their purpose is, or they don't know what the actual outcome is. You have to know that. You got to know the outcome. Then from there, you reverse engineer it. Okay, what is the very first thing I need to do? Let me give you an example. Let's say you're a creator or you want to create. You want to write a book, whatever it is, right? You have knowledge in your head. Then what? The very first thing I would recommend everyone to do right now, I don't care if you're working for somebody and you're like, you know what, Tim, I'm 5 years from ever starting my own business. That's not true. Like that's the voice in your head, but you could, today is now. Like
wait,
now.
Exactly. You know what? And that's what you say, you know what? That's great. You have a goal of 5 years to meet your goal, but you better start working on it today because there's a lot of steps to that process.
Exactly.
So in 5 years, you can jump to your own business.
Just recently, somebody writing a book, same thing. And they know that I'm doing this, right? And matter of fact, the whole reason why I went to see Brendon Burchard was for the book. Okay. It was a $5,000 buy-in back then, but it was for the book. And now there's a reason why I had to back shelf it because I've got a lot of product that we created. And but at the end of the day, they said, what would be your takeaway? I said, if you got writer's block, people have business block. Like, I want to do this, but it starts with then what?
Right.
Okay. And I'm going to give some people some advice when it comes to negative stuff too. But then what? So it was this. I said, make the outline. And then I want you to write your chapters. Don't write the whole chapter. Think of your client or the prospect or whoever it is. If it's a novel, what's the novel going to be about, right? But let's say you're doing a how-to course. For instance, you're really good at maybe gardening. What's the first thing that somebody needs to know, right?
Right.
What's the first thing? Well, let's see. Maybe the zone you live in would be the first thing they need to know. Can't plant in the winter. Well, some people can with.
Do you have good soil to even plant a garden in? Right.
What tools are needed? Right. So what are the tools? Matter of fact, what's the very first thing that you will see in an owner's manual, or I'm sorry, a manual? Let's say you're going to put together a desk. What's the very first thing you see in? Now, mind you, there are some overseas stuff that very confusing.
the table of contents in 6 different languages.
Besides that, it is true. Besides that, that's why I love oh, what's the name of that store? My son's obsessed with it. The Swedish store.
Swedish
You can buy everything there. A desk, you know. Matter of fact, they're very known. If you know, throw it in the comments. They have the best
IKEA?
meatballs. IKEA, you don't need an owner's manual. You know why? They literally build it with intuitiveness. Like you literally just like a 3-year-old could put it together. That's the way they do things. Very, very smart. I love that. That being said, the very first thing you're going to see in an owner's manual is this. Tools needed. You're going to need a screwdriver and pliers. They literally chunk it down to where it's easy to digest, easy to understand. Oh, okay, I need these and these and these. And then before you know it, you have a finished product. So if you're going to create a program, maybe you're going to teach, which is my favorite thing to do. You can make $1 million business out of it, multi-million. At the end of the day, what's the very first thing you need to do? Make an outline.
Right.
You can do that right now. I don't care if you're, 5 years from now, I'm going to do this. No, do that. You would be surprised how fast
Exactly.
the wheels are going to be in turn. You know, not to mention there's nothing you can't learn and know. And there's no reason why you can't go pro a lot faster. Some people just feel.
No, but a lot of people that's a security blanket. And as they get into it and get the ball rolling and start pushing the ball, they realize, hey, I can do this in 2 or 3.
Exactly.
You know, but
there was somebody that said it recently. God, who was it? They made a good point. They said, that's right in my eyeballs. Thank you. They said this, sometimes just having it on the back shelf, like got it on my head. I get that. But matter of fact, I put a post up, like, can you imagine how many things died with people? Like ideas, stuff that we would be using today that may have died with somebody because they never got it out. They never got it out to the world.
Right.
You know, it's insane how many, if you really thought about it.
Right.
So form an outline. How do you become more productive? By literally having the map. Like you have to design like my week, so if you're looking to create a product, what is the very first thing that I need to do? And then what's the second thing I need to do? Maybe you had some bad stuff that came in through the week. Try to deal with it, but use that. Jim Rohn used to do that. And then what?
Right.
And then what?
Get back on task.
Somebody that lost a restaurant just recently, they called me up. Okay. And I could tell they were very down, very upset about it. I said, okay, what caused it? And verbal diarrhea. The pandemic and this and this. I said, you know what? Did you learn anything from it? Yeah. And then do you still have a passion for food in the industry? I do. It's not done.
Right.
It's just, and then what? Well, I got to rebuild. Okay, cool. Then what? And then what? And you just keep doing that and you keep in motion. I don't have this put down, but that was my last one, is stay in motion. You have got to never hide your head in the sand. You must be always thinking, how do I move the needle? Okay. Right. If you're writing a book, what do I first need to do? Do the outline, then do the chapters, right?
Right.
And then start writing the first chapter. Okay. Right. You could even write the last chapter because eventually you'll be rewritten anyway, but that's how you do it. No different than a business. So what I love about being a creator or a digital creator is you can do this on the fly. You can literally create a digital course, because when you print something, it's printed. You know what I mean? Like right. If you need to make a change, if there was a word that was misspelled, which I still think is funny. I read one recently, and believe it or not, there was a whole paragraph that was doubled. Huh. So it was like the same paragraph was in there twice.
Right.
Now, that author had to be embarrassed if that ever got pointed out, right? There's nothing you can do. It's already printed. Now, the second or revised version, yes. What I love about a digital course is you can make changes on the fly.
That's right.
You can make changes right on the fly. Okay, let's see. Is there any other questions? By the way, not all of them come through here, so if you want to look on the Facebook stuff, that would be cool. Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up. So just to summarize, front end load your week, know your Monday. Like you got to plan Monday on Sunday. Just know your week. Always hit it. The hardest stuff first. It's going to make you win the week. It's going to make you feel better. Even if the outcome's not great, eventually it was going to be there anyway. You might as well get it done and over with.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
When you're doing the ice challenge or the ice bath, I do the Wim Hof breathing and stuff, right? Getting into the water slowly is like a slow death to me.
Right.
Like,
Sure, man. Just you gotta jump in.
just get in.
Right.
Get in. Then it's way easier. I see people get in that way with the ocean or a swimming pool. They first put their toes in. You just send a message to the brain that says, that's freaking cold.
Right. Exactly.
So don't do it. Here's another thing. Once again, you got to quit feeding the negative voice in your head. Instead of the negative voice of, yeah, but if I do that, what if this happens? Or what if that happens? Those are fake. That's your brain just trying to protect you and saying, hey, let's eliminate this altogether.
Right.
That's fake. At this point, you got to just feed the thing by, okay, what's the worst outcome? Once you know the worst outcome, cool. It can't hurt you anymore.
That's right.
So what? And then what? Okay, if that's the worst outcome, what's the best outcome? Then you write down all the best that it could be. What do I need to do to bridge worst case scenario to best case scenario? What would help me make the best scenario happen? And then you draft it from there. And then you hit it first thing on Monday. Secondly, do away with time wasters, email, Facebook. Do you know that I wrote a program?
I was going to mention Facebook earlier. How many people pick up their phone to do something 5 minutes later, like, oh my gosh, I'm on Facebook. You know what I mean? Like Facebook's a huge time waster.
You got to, folks, it's even hurting kids. I have grandchildren now, and I got to be careful of being the grandparent that wants to, but I do have a say in that. I think it's hurting kids today, but you got to do away with the distractions. It's making us all even more ADD. Now, do I post on Facebook and some others? I do.
I mean, Facebook is a productive tool for business as well. So, I mean,
without a doubt,
managing that time wisely is important.
Yeah. And if you have team members that are doing that for you, be careful, because you are sending them down that trap too. What I do, I'm not going to say down the road, people can have access to it. We have a script that we wrote that eventually will be for everybody inside Linkboard. But what I do is I make a post and it sends it everywhere. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't even have to be on. It just post. There was a post that put a picture. Ironically, I don't know how I did it with Facebook. Anyways, it was supposed to go on Instagram. It went to Facebook as well. And but at the end of the day, I didn't have to do it. It just automatically, and then I can post it. By the way, everyone could do this with Facebook. You can make a post and schedule it for later.
Right. Exactly.
So use Facebook as a tool. Be careful of getting into the arguments and politics, and it's just going to be a time suck. It's not going to serve anybody. Really, believe me, I'm guilty as charged. I've done it, and it just wasn't good.
No.
All right. Lastly, recap your week. What did you do right? What are things that you could do to improve the week? And what did you do to self-improve? Like, did you read this week? I believe that you should always be self-improving and read books and whatever, but more importantly, like, who's the person you want to become?
Right.
And I don't mean fake. I mean a better version of yourself. How do you go about doing that?
Right.
Right. Some of it's just eliminating stuff. I know that I have a friend, business colleague, that I said, you got to quit doing this and this and this, right? Some people are in bars too often. Okay. We all know them. I've been there before. Okay. There was a time we were so busy. Oh my God, so busy. My wife and I had a favorite place that we would go. Okay. That is now sold. And one time I'm like, babe, we were here like 4 times this week. Now, mind you, we're eating, right?
Right.
Get this. We would work our brains out and then we'd go work out, right? Now my kids were starting to get older on their own a little bit. And then at the end of the day, we would go there and I'm like, this is not healthy. And please don't take this wrong, but you and I had this conversation. And one day I'm looking around. I said, babe, like, notice how you can start seeing like the alcohol, they're wearing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that was a big wake up call for me. And so I decided that not doing it anymore. Okay. We just once in a while, we have date night, may have a glass of wine or a beer with it. But that's it. Done. Now I've decided not even doing that for a little while. Put yourself on a challenge. Challenge yourself to make changes in a positive way. That was a positive change. By the way, you do not need alcohol to have a good time. Matter of fact, you will find that when you eliminate certain things out of your life, not only you're going to feel better, you're going to see it in a different light. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
How do you see food now?
I mean, I see it completely differently, but it was
Does it
funny.
control you anymore?
No, not at all. I mean, but it's funny. Like I realized, like I was a big sports fan. I loved NFL football.
Okay.
You know, I don't know, probably 5 years ago, I gave it up. I realized I got another day of the week back.
Isn't that something?
You,
Listen
you
to me.
know,
I know I'm going to have some hitters on this one. But here's what I want to say about sports. I get you. There's hobbies. I get all that. One thing I'm glad that I never got involved in, gambling. Never got what's this? I'm proof of that. What for the sports thing?
yeah.
Oh.
Because now we ride on Sundays.
Oh, see, there you go.
Right.
See what I mean, though? You make a change and then okay. So let's say somebody smokes. You just gotta my wife and I used to do that. Believe it or not, like how crazy is that? Way back in the day, we quit. We've been a non-smoker for over 20 years. But at the end of the day, it's like, what are we doing? It's bad. Now you just replace that with a positive habit.
Right.
And quite honestly, being productive and stopping procrastination is also eliminating some bad habits.
Well, no, it is. I mean, because instead of your 5 second rule, 5, 2, 3, 1, go. You're sitting there.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta do that later. Oh, I gotta do that in 5 minutes. Oh, you know what? Another 5 minutes, I'll do that. Hey, I'll get to that in 10 minutes, as opposed to just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to 5, 2, 3, 1, go and do it and get it done. So procrastination is a time waster as well.
Mark, you're so right. Not needing alcohol. I know Tom overcame that as well.
Yeah.
But folks, listen, at the end of the day, I started thinking, and by the way, I know I have friends that do this, but at the end of the day, how many people are hanging out at a bar, meaning like it's normal part of their life? There's no way they're successful. Sorry. Maybe for now they are, but pretty soon it's going to come to a head.
And yeah, right. And they're just dumping their paychecks right back, right back into the bar,
Yeah,
So,
I just can't.
for sure.
Okay, enough of that.
Yep, wrapping up.
Sometimes negative. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. What is going on? Sometimes, Mark, you just keep coming back up, brother. What is going on here? Oh, okay, that's fine. Sometimes you just need to keep working on yourself. Know that it's not going to be tomorrow. That you're going to perfect things over time. I'm getting better and better. Like I said earlier, the version of myself today, I really like now. Okay. I nixed a lot of things like the one that I mentioned and I never considered myself abusing, but there are times, that you can do that. As far as alcohol and stuff like that. The other thing is, where are you putting your time? You will find that your life goes a different way when you're in control, when you're truly in control of your life and you're not allowing anything else to control it, including a company, a business, a boss, a spouse that's non-supportive. Like I see that on a daily basis. Somewhere that meeting's got to happen, right?
Right.
And okay, so let's wrap it up. On Wednesday, we're in a soft launch for creators. Not only do we help you, redesign your life, how do you go pro? How do you become a trainer, a coach, consultant, if that's what you want to do? Or if you want to have a digital product and teach, we're going to teach you exactly how to go about doing that. Oh, isn't she cute? Oh
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh, is she getting bigger?
Oh, geez.
Lila, same thing, 7 now. How old is she?
She is 8.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good for her.
Uh-huh.
It's surprising how much they look like. Anyways, that being said, that is coming up Wednesday. A lot of improvements inside Link Boss, the group happens. We were trying to do it this week and we had a server thing. That's going to happen today. And for those that want to join, it's absolutely free. It's Link Boss, the group. Let me just put it up here. Link is spelled with a Y. Where are we? And I'll tell you right now, we have some whoops, I'm in the wrong thing. We have some incredible programs coming up for those that want to go pro. Like seriously, this is the best time in history, folks. In history, to be an influencer or to take your craft and share it to the world. Like if you're a trainer, we're speaking to you right now. This is the time to do it. And if you want to learn how to be productive where it's actually going to help you and not necessarily create and help somebody else's dream, unless that's something you want to do, I get that. But if you want it for yourself, join the group. We're going to help you with that and so much more. If anything, we link you to the right place. Like, you know, we always talk about just-in-time learning. That's really what it's all about. It's just-in-time learning. So already until Wednesday, we're going to go live 8:30 on Wednesday. Not only we're going to talk more about this, but going to be more about that creation. How do you go about it? How do you actually go about creating a product? We're going to talk in depth on that on Wednesday. So everyone have a great week. I hope it's very productive. Remember, eliminate, and learn how to say no. I had to learn that in a really big way, in a profound way. I have to say no a lot now. If you learn how to say no, you're going to become more productive. Does that make sense? You'll know what to say no to, but you got to learn how to say no. Don't be that person that says, I'm a pleaser and okay, I'll do that for you. No, sometimes you just got to say no. It is what it is. You have to do it. All righty, D. Thank you, brother.
All right.
Everyone, we'll see you Wednesday.
Yep. And Wednesday, we're doing 2 on Wednesday, correct? This is later one.
We are. We're having 8:30 in the morning and then 7 p.m. at night because we are in a soft launch. We created a challenge. You'll learn more about that on Wednesday morning. But we created a challenge. We're challenging everyone. Believe me, you know, I challenged myself when I was 27. I left a Fortune 50 company. I don't know where Prudential stands. I forget. But at the end of the day, it was a little scary, right? And I did it. And that was with little kids at home. There's ups and downs in businesses, and we can help people with that. When you're really passionate about what you do, it gets you through those lull periods. You know, we've all been to the cliff's edge before, and it happens. And I know for us, we create. Sometimes you can do that even wrong. So we're going to help you with that. We've got arrows in our back. We've been there. We've done that. Creator of Embed Blocker and HostFox, the hosting company and stuff. We know what it feels like. That it's a lonely industry, first and foremost, unless you're connected. When you get connected to the right people, it opens up a whole new world for you.
Right.
But if you're a creator, if you have a drive and you know, man, I've got a purpose and I want to bring it to the world. It could be a physical product, physical product. We have clients that have physical products. But if you're a digital creator, it can change things in a really fast and profound way. Alrighty, again, have a blessed week, productive week. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Sounds good.